Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. What's this?
It's some truth. What do you think about this? Do you think it's right or wrong?
I think as a man, I don't really have an opinion on it. I think it's not right for me to have an opinion.
So do you think if there's men are human trafficking women, should women have an opinion on it?
Yeah.
Why should women have an opinion if human traffickers are men?
It's not wrong. It's not right.
Why isn't it right? Where does right and wrong come from? Our preferences and opinion? Is it like ice cream, chocolate, or vanilla, or does it come from outside of ourselves, something bigger than us?
Yeah, I see where you're going.
Yeah, it comes from God. That's where morality comes from.
Which religion do you come from?
I'm a Christian.
That's good.
Yeah. But Jesus Christ is Lord, He's Savior, He's King. And this is His world. And this is His kingdom. And it's an invisible kingdom. But it is here. And people walking by this, there's no neutrality. You can't say, I'm neutral on it. It's either right or wrong.
So, okay.
You know, a couple hundred years ago, we used to dehumanize slaves in this country, Africans. And people would say things like, hey, if you don't want to have slaves, if you don't believe in slavery, don't own the slaves, pro-choice. Well, now they're saying, hey, this is okay. If you don't like abortions, don't have an abortion, pro-choice. But right and wrong doesn't come from our opinions. It comes from God. We're made in God's image. Therefore, these unborn children are valuable. And that's why we can't be neutral on it. Because
I hear you, but...
So men do have a say on it. You know who passed Roe versus Wade when it passed? 9 men on the Supreme Court.
Listen, this is a very sensitive topic. I wish I could discuss it more, but I got to go.
Have you ever heard any women who say to a man who's pro-choice, hey, this isn't don't talk about it? They only talk to men who are against it and say, hey, men don't have a say. You don't see them rebuking men that show up to these rallies and saying, hey, you're for abortion, don't talk about it. You can't be for it or against it because only women have a voice. So be consistent, all right? Follow God. Morality comes from Him.
I'll keep praying. I'll try to find something. Thank you.
Hey, God bless. Thank you for your time. The unborn are made in God's image and they're valuable. If we leave God out of the equation and we start saying morality is just a preference based on, like, you know, what's better, ice cream, vanilla, or chocolate, all of a sudden, you and me, we're not able to say anything's wrong, right or wrong. If the wrong doesn't come from our opinions, it comes from something outside of ourselves. So who does it come from?
Society.
Well, if society says it's okay to round up Jewish people and kill them, or whatever the background, so right and wrong doesn't come from society, so where does right and wrong come from?
I don't know.
Okay, who made you?
Parents?
Who made your parents?
Their parents?
Go all the way back. Who made the first humans?
God?
God. Right and wrong come from God. And when you get rid of God, you get rid of truth. Right or wrong to dehumanize people and to take their lives? In other words, are you two for equality for all or equality for some?
I'm equality for all. I say that.
So if we're for equality for all, we have to say that this is actually wrong because this is another person. Now, where does right and wrong come from? Do you know, is it from our opinions and preferences, like what's the best Starbucks drink, or is right and wrong objective, something outside of ourselves that's bigger than our own opinions and preferences?
Probably I think it's because like beyond ourselves of like choices that people make. So like right or wrong could be of like you can make your own opinion on what you want to say, but then again it's kind of like other people will always have an opinion on your opinion, if that makes sense.
So you think right and wrong is based on our own preferences and opinions? Okay, so let's say there's a child molester who's a cannibal, and he also loves to murder children. So he's raping, murdering, and eating these children for fun. And he says, hey, look, right and wrong is based on my preferences. Don't judge me because I enjoy this and this is what I do. Would you say that that's okay, that's his truth and that's right for him?
That's wrong. Yeah.
Okay, so it's outside of himself.
Yeah.
Objective morality, absolute morals doesn't come from our preferences. It comes from something outside of ourselves, a higher authority. Now, who's that a higher authority?
God is the higher authority to judge people.
That's right,
Yeah.
God. Yep, that's where morality comes from. That's where truth comes from. It comes from God. That's where logic comes from. Truth, logic, morality are all immaterial. You can't see and touch it. They're universal. They're throughout the whole world, and they're unchanging. They don't change based on our opinions and preferences. Now, most of us grew up in secular public schools, and for 6 hours a day we were indoctrinated with a secular worldview that told us to leave religion out of it, leave God out of it, and that there's no such thing as absolute morality. When you do that, you don't have a foundation to stand on, and it leads to absurdity, like you can't tell a rapist, child molesting, cannibal he's wrong. That's where the worldview goes without God. So I urge you to stand on the foundation of God, stand on His truth, stand on His morals, and stand on logic of where His truth and morals lead, and don't let these secularists silence you. Because when they tell you to leave religion out of it, they're not leaving their religion out of it. They've been telling us our whole lives in public schools that we evolved from apes. So they've really blinded us. And our culture is completely dumb. No offense, but I'm part of this.
Oh, yeah.
We're dumb. We've been fooled. We've been deceived. And we can look at something like this and walk by and say, I don't really have an opinion on it, or this isn't really right or wrong. It's based on somebody's morals. But this is absolutely wrong because God says you shall not murder. And His word says children are a gift from Him. So we got to stand on that truth. And we can't let secularists silence us, because their religion really benefits when Christians are silent. So I urge you to just, I encourage you to be bold for your faith, be bold for God, don't compromise. Jesus said there's no neutrality. We're either with them or against them.